Hey everyone, I'm at the mini excavator and went to use the machine. It's been sitting all winter and the battery disconnect switch is bad in it. It's gone bad. It's a really low quality plastic switch. I have a replacement switch that we're going to replace it with in this video today. This is a much better build quality switch, but to use this one I'm going to have to build a little plate that goes in this position and we'll mount the switch in here. So let's get started and get this machine running again. It's a little windy today, but hope the wind doesn't muffle the mic too much. These are 10mm bolts, so the first thing we want to do is remove the cup holder, and then we'll remove the bolts from the switch, because these have nuts on the backs of them, so you're going to need to reach underneath and grab the nuts. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So to get to the nuts, you just reach underneath, hold it with your finger, and see the nut just drops off. So if you try to undo this without pulling the cup holder out, you're just going to drop that nut down in your machine. Okay, I can pull this panel off and get to those probably just as easily as just getting underneath here and working on them with the wrench here. So I'm going to figure out which one I'm going to do first, and then we'll get going on that. Okay, I'm going to just try it without pulling this panel off. I don't want to spend a lot of time working on this today. This is a 14mm wrench. This is one of those ones from Craftsman I got many years ago that has the little mechanism so you can just work the bolt and it works like a ratchet. So let's try this. Oh, I'm going to go the other way. Loose. I can get my fingers in there. So as I'm touching the wrench to the frame, you can hear the power coming on and off with this switch. It's the ground side of the battery, so it doesn't really matter that you're connecting power and disconnecting power. If you really want to feel safe while you're doing this, you can actually take the bottom panel off by your feet and disconnect the battery, but I'm not worried about it. So, alright, so there's the one post from the battery, and you can tell the power comes on when you touch the battery post there. So I'm going to just cover this post up so it doesn't short to anything, because I don't want it coming on while I'm working on the rest of this. Let's see. Yeah, we can get to that without pulling that side panel off, so be happy with that. They're going to come off pretty nice. So kept all that from falling in. And this is like a really cheap, well, the top of it's metal, but it's all plastic. So anyways, I'm gonna try and drill these out and see what happened to this thing. I bet it's just corroded inside. But anyways, let's finish getting this new switch in place. Okay, so I got the new switch. I'm gonna just test fit, make sure that it'll go into this location. There's nothing that's going to block the body of the switch down here, so that's good. And then what we'll do is we'll just take a piece of sheet metal. I'm going to get some aluminum and just cut a piece that'll cover this hole, and we'll drill holes in it so that the two bolts that hold the switch on will fit there, and then one hole for the center post of this switch body, and we'll mount it all in there. But let's go fabricate that piece of sheet metal up real quick. Well, welcome to the very corner of my messy shop. Anyways, I went through what I have in stock here as far as different sheet metals. This piece is a little thicker than what I'd really like to use. It doesn't really matter, but this is what I'm going to use because I don't have anything that's in between the really thin stuff and then this thick bar stock. So what I'm going to do is cut this off, and then we'll cut it to about maybe this size here, drill a hole here, here, and here, and we'll go and clean up the edges on the belt sander and go and see if it fits on the machine. But let's get started fabricating this. Alright, I was trying to think of what tools everyone should have, or roughly has, and this is a little Sawzall. I have a battery powered one, just to make it easier. But anyway, I'll just put this guy in the vise. I transferred a line on here that I want to cut it at, and I have a bimetal blade in my Sawzall here. I wish I had a shorter one, but that's what I got to work with. Nice easy peasy cutting through there with a bimetal blade, and we'll clean this up on the belt sander out there. I'm losing my mind right now because I forgot what the word for a belt sander was. Anyway, so I'm gonna go clean that up real quick, and then I'll come back and mark where I want to drill the holes at. Okay, so I went and cleaned it up a little bit on the belt sander. Just take some of the roughness off of it. So I want to get kind of in the middle of this piece where we're going to drill the holes for the mount points and then the switch. So the first thing we're going to do is measure it, and we're roughly, and it doesn't have to be perfect, we're just a little bit above 2 5/8. So we want to go about 1 5/16 roughly. Let's mark that on the aluminum here. I'm just going to mark it with a pencil, and this doesn't have to be perfect because it's not like it's going into something that requires super tight tolerances, and just mark it down the center here, and that gives us roughly the middle of this piece. And now I'm going to go transfer the points for the switch. Actually, we can do the switch right now, so let's see, this is roughly a 3-inch piece, so about 1.5 inches is where the switch gets put at, which is here. That's going to be the drill hole for the center of the switch, and then we'll go off the sides and figure out how far we need to go for those 2 other holes for the mounts. Actually, you know what, I'll just run down to the machine, push this into the hole, and then mark it that way. That's probably the quickest way to do it. So let me go do that real quick, and I'll come back. Well, I normally have an automatic center punch in my shop, but I must have misplaced the 3 or 4 that I have. I don't know where they're at. But we'll do this the old-fashioned way with just a regular center punch. I want to mark roughly where I want to be in the center of these holes. This just makes starting the hole easier with the drill press. I don't have my drill press bed locked down right now. But let's go ahead and lock that so it doesn't move. So basically I just want to get a center hole started so that when I start to drill that we will be not having the drill bit wandering around. And I'm going to put some little pilot holes in with this little bit. some nice little pilot holes in there. And then we'll get the right size drill bit. Just eyeballing this guy with my drill bits. Looks like, yeah, 1764 should be good. Maybe a 1/4 inch, but I think I'll do 1764 because I want it a little oversized. So let's see. Let's move this bed down. Just to keep it from wandering around. I hate drilling bigger pieces of sheet metal with holding it by my hand. I know I should clamp them down, but I'm always in a rush trying to get this stuff done. Right there. Raise this up just a hair. That way the camera can still see it there. All right. Stop spinning, clean all this stuff off. Let's go ahead and do that. Move this one over to there. Tighten this guy back up. About there. We'll go ahead and widen the pilot hole out for that center pin too. I always use WD-40, it's just quick and easy. Okay, we got our pilot holes done for the center. We got our 2 mount plate holes done. Let's figure out what size we want to do this piece at. So let me get a way to look at that real quick. Alright, so there's a little screw that holds the top of the switch on. I'm going to take that out real quick. Pull the little handle off. Use that screw and put it right there. And pull the nut off. And we'll use the step bit to see if that's the right size. Oh yeah, perfect. So it looks like it's between a little bit larger than 11/16. It's about 3/4. I think I want the hole at. It'll be a little oversized, and it'll be perfect because the step bit, the last part of the step bit, is 3/4. We're gonna go ahead and set up the drill and drill that out. All right, got the step bit in there. Made sure that everything clears when we go through this plate. So we'll clear everything when we go through it. Let's go ahead and clamp this guy in here. And then we'll go ahead and start drilling with the step drill. I'm going to hit it with a blast of WD-40. Clean that up a little bit. Give it another blast. clean up my shop. I haven't cleaned it up in a while. Alright, let's see if the switch fits in this. So, this is roughly what it looks like. I'll go hit it on the belt sander real quick, take this sharp edge off of it, because these things will always cut you up real good. Alright, just got done cleaning that really sharp edge off there. Now let's try the switch, make sure it fits in there. Oh, look at that. Beauty. Perfect fit. Alright, so let's go down to the machine and make sure these holes line up. Hopefully they do. If not, I'll have to just kind of walk them around, but I think they'll line up because I oversized them just a little tiny bit. Okay, so back at the machine. I was thinking instead of mounting the plate on top, I could just mount it underneath. So let's take a look at that and see how it fits. Well, I think that would be pretty nice too. That way I don't have this piece of metal just sitting up here. I mean, the other way to mount it is have the metal plate up here and then the switch mounted underneath that way. Either way works, but I think it looks better with it mounted underneath, like so. I'm going to go ahead and hook the switch up and then get this plate in there, and then we'll feed everything up in there and then bolt it together. And hopefully the machine will be running in a few minutes here. So I'm wondering what size these guys are. Oh, they're the same size. That's nice. So they are 14 millimeters on this replacement switch. Let's go ahead and get this wired in. Wondering, will they fit through these holes? Oh yeah, they'll fit through there. And if you really want to feel safe, just disconnect the battery before you do this. It really doesn't matter on this machine because it's not like there's much being powered off the switch. And this is the ground side of the switch. So, flip that over there and fit it up, and we can. That's good. Let's go ahead and put the other half of the connection on. Position. Go ahead and just put it back together that way. The reason I know it's in the on position is because the oil pump is running. I can hear the oil pump running right now. So I'm going to finish putting this leg on and then I'll shut the switch off, make sure it turns off. I'm going to go put the little boots over them. Kind of hard working through this little hole. I'm going to lift the seat up and see if I can get them the other way through this bottom of the seat cover. I guess I didn't have to take a cup holder out to do that, but it makes it easier to work. I forgot the seat lifted up like that. But still, not that big of a deal to get this all in here. So there we are, we got the boots on them. Get the switch. Screw off where this guy's going to sit at. Go ahead and put this plate on here, like so. Make sure everything lines up nicely. Switch on after we put the plate in, because getting the nuts on the back side of that guy is going to be a big problem. There's not much room in there with the switch body in the way. So let's go ahead and just mount this plate in here. Sorry for that really abrupt cut in the video. The phone's dying and I had to run and grab a battery bank for it. So anyways, I got that hooked up and recharging the phone. Where was I at? I mount the switch in here. So what I determined after the video got cut was this lower nut needs to come off so I have a little bit more room on this, because the thickness of that plate that I got is too thick for this. So let's go ahead and do that. Take that lower nut off. Oh, I know what it is. It's not the nut. It's the bolts for this guy. So they're hitting the switch body. So what we can do then instead is keep this lock washer out of there and just put that guy back on, and we'll set the depth for that. So I didn't think about the two nuts here, or the two bolts hitting the body of the switch. But anyways, we'll make it work. As long as we get a few threads on there, we're good. I want to see where this body, the switch lines up at. It's right there is good, yeah. Right there is good, so go ahead and tighten this guy in there. And it's nice and tight. Screw back in there. And I think that's pretty nice. I'll put the cup holder back in. I think it's funny that they threaded the body of this, but I guess it's kind of weird they didn't thread these holes for the switch body when they did that, and they just put keep nuts on the back side of it, but kind of a weird design. But let's see how everything works. This guy hasn't been started all winter, so we may have to mess around with it a little bit. Actually shocked it started. So anyways, hopefully if you have to replace your switch on your Mini X, this is a helpful video. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.